It's important to distinguish between the two different types of fee structures when it comes to management agreements. And this is because there's one which is the commercial structure that we're all very used to. And it's mainly for the larger operations. So think of your 2,000 square meters or 20,000 square feet plus in size operation. And the other one I'll call, flex light. And I guess this could be your amenity play. So think less of your large co-working operations that you're putting into a building, but more a landlord or investor thinking, hey, we need to answer some of these tenant needs and we don't need something so big. So a smaller quantum of around 600 to 800 square meters. Now, the first one we'll cover first, the commercial. We're all very familiar with this. This is normally a revenue share and profit share style fee split. So you've got percentage allocated to each one. A revenue share range that you could be used to is probably around the 6 to 8% range. And the profit share pool really is defined by, how do you define profit when it comes to these P&Ls? If it's as simple as revenue minus costs and you've got a very large profit sum, well, in that case, the operator is probably only going to take like a single digit amount of percentage from that profit pool share. But more commonly, as many owners have experienced and done deals themselves, you usually want a base rental equivalent or a guarantee from that. So say you normally get $800 per square meter for the rent, the market rent for the space that you're thinking for the co-working operator under a management style agreement, rather than having all of that under a variable income model, maybe you agree to 400, right? And then the rest of that 400 or more, because you want some, extra profit for the risk that you're taking, that's made through that profit share percentage arrangement as an owner. However, because you've got this hurdle of 400 first that's being filled by the flex revenue that's coming in, profit's going to be less. There's going to be less of a profit pool share, right? Because it's filling that $400 a square meter fix. So in that case, you're probably going to see more of a, like a 60-40 split to the operator, 60% to the operator in some cases, because there's less money going in there. Okay. So that's the commercial arrangement. We're all very familiar for it. The Flex Lite one's really interesting because more and more, and we're working on a few, the JLL Flex team, there's instances where an owner doesn't want to put in a huge amount of co-working into the building because the only reason they're considering Flex is because an anchor tenant or a few tenants are asking for certain amenities, whether it be bookable meeting spaces, a lounge area, a podcast studio, or what I think is really hot right now, a media studio. So rather than just have 2 podcast mics, you've got, a place where someone can shoot some video content as well. And an event space, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And the owner doesn't want that to come attached with 2,000 square meters of co-working, like another 400, 500 desks. So what does it look like if they only do a deal with someone that is a 600 to 800 square meter arrangement, right? And that is designed to wash its face, right? It might make a percentage of the rent, might cover outgoings, but it's not a market rent smash and grab style operation. It's definitely more there for the tenants and to tick that box so you can fill your building and preserve your asset valuation, right? The rev share profit share percentage does not work in that scenario because when you think about it, it's making a lot less money, not just because it's a smaller amount of space, so therefore less profit and revenue to go around, but because it's targeting tenants and having those amenities, and rather than a buttload of, desks and offices, having a percentage share model doesn't really incentivize the operator at all. So generally what you see here is you see a base management fee structure plus a KPI fee arrangement, okay? And, the realm of that fee, think more building property asset manager fees, that kind of stuff, less of a, a very healthy co-working percentage share operator fee, because at the end of the day, this is more of an amenity to the building, even though it's run like a business, so it's covering its costs and it's making a bit of money. And the KPI arrangement doesn't just have to be around the commercials. Yes, it's going to be to do with how much profit can you carve out of that space, but mainly it's going to be like, is the monthly reporting on time? Are the customer and tenant surveys doing well? Even social media about the space, is it getting good feedback and engagement? So we're borrowing a lot of that thinking from the hotel management agreement style model, where their KPI incentive and percentage share sometimes isn't just the revenue share and the profit share, but it's a lot of these things to do with the experience of the space in itself. So that's the flex slide in an amenity model. or that's kind of how you look at fee shares. And it's important because if you're an owner and you've got a nice, beautiful building, or you've got two, so we've got one here and two there. The first one, you might be like, hey, we want a huge chunk of that to go to a commercial co-working operator, right? Because we do want 200, 300 desks in that building to be leveraged as swing space, or for someone not just to sell to tenants, but also externally to the market. We're comfortable with that risk. Then yeah, you go commercial. The second one, maybe the building's not so big. You only want, oh, I just accidentally rubbed that out. Sorry, guys. I just got this iPad, so I'm figuring it out. You might not have as much space, but you only just have a little bit applied to the flex because you're only answering tenant needs. You don't need that huge operation. You want to preserve the asset's identity as well, because it may not be a big one. It might only be like, a couple of thousand square meters. So therefore you need a small flex site. Well, then you need to think about your flex light model in the second case. So hopefully that's really helpful. I think it's very, apparent right now. And please reach out to me if you want to further discuss any of this. I'll chat to you soon.